Hey all, should I post the meeting invite in the channel?
Yeah, I do not see Ronald or Ricardo online.
Okay, then I'll post the Zoom link and then the agenda.
Yeah.
See if I can find the agenda link.
So here, I in the chat, I just about to post.
Okay, perfect.
So that's the meeting link. Sorry, that's the agenda. Basically, minutes document.
Perfect. And then, yeah, do we want to write our names down on the attendance?
Yeah, I added Yeah, I think there is attendance tab. I just added so everyone can add. Yeah.
So do we want to share? Do you want to share Deep or Nina? Or should we wait for one of the others to be scribed for this session?
I can share, but generally one of the two, Ronald and Ricardo, are the.
And normally it's Adele, Ricardo, or Ron that would be sharing. I don't see any of them here at the moment.
Yeah,
So
another thing, Ricardo, since the meeting is recorded and 5 minutes over, I would recommend us just get started.
Sure, yeah. So Nina, you have the presentation today, right?
Yeah, so I can share if that
Yes,
works for
share.
people. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
I think Adele is joining.
Right,
okay.
everyone see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you're just joining, we have an attendance list that you can add your name to.
Well, hey everyone. Sorry I'm late. I'm not sure if Ricardo joined.
No, he has not.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess everyone is on track. Just add your name to the agenda.
Yeah, do you want to take over screen sharing or I'm fine also
No,
sharing
you
it.
you can keep
Okay,
sharing, Nina.
cool. Right.
Right, we can start, I guess. So Deep, you're first. We're gonna start with a round of introductions. Are you on?
Sorry, who?
You're first.
Oh,
Hellos.
okay. No, I had just stepped out. Yeah. Hey, so I'm Deep. I work for Cisco and have a security work background. Work on mostly data center and application security, and just working on to finish AI security white paper.
Nina.
Go next. Yeah, we can just do the order. So I'm Nina. I work at Solo, doing some of the API gateway, some AI features, and today I'm actually presenting on kagent, which is an open source framework for building Kubernetes native declarative agents. So
I'm Andy Block from Red Hat. I do some work in the cloud native space. Particularly, I'm with a group working on what they call Model Pack, which is we currently have a proposal as a sandbox project for how we organize and package AI models.
So I think I'm up next. So Josh Halley, I also work at Cisco in the CTO office, focusing on observability, security, and some work around AI agents.
All right, I think I'm up next. I'm Ali. I work at BlackRock, building out a cloud native platform. Yeah.
I guess I'm Lex. So I'm Ali. I'm actually work with Ricardo on the CNCF TLC. I'm here to support Nina in case there's any questions. In the past, I've been working with Nina for any questions she had on the cloud native. I think it's the AI and security paper. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I guess I'm next. Hey everyone. My name is Adam Zaruk. My day job is a product manager at Red Hat for all AI things. I'm also one of the co-leads for this working group. So looking forward to hearing from you all. Dalia. Are you online? All right. If you come back, feel free to stop us and introduce yourself.
Sorry, I finally saw the unmute. So my name is Talia Hooker. I also work for Red Hat, and I'm working with Anka and the IBM research team, and Anne, who's also on the call on the compliance for AI.
Awesome. All right, so I guess was all introduction done. If you can just go up a little bit, Nina, that just a quick logistics thing on the events. Yeah, so this is here like current and upcoming events. If you have an event that you would like to announce, you can put it here. But this is like if you want to submit talks, if you want to collaborate with someone, this is where you're gonna find the next upcoming events. There's also the prior events for folks who want to have a look, and there probably are recordings of people who presented from this group. So you can also check those out or check the Slack for more information. Was that out of the way? I think we can start because we have a packed agenda, and I know Nina, you want to start and give us the presentation. I'm looking forward to it. So the floor is yours, and you're already sharing the screen.
You want to start with that, or do we want to talk about some of the standing items first?
Okay, I think we can start with your stuff, and then we can talk.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. I'll try to keep it short because I do know we have another demo and we want to get to that. Let me actually share my whole screen then, because I do have like a demo. So can you see Golang? Actually not Golang. Where's this one? Yes. Can you see my screen?
Your cursor is that?
Oh
yeah, Golang. It is Golang.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. So before we, I guess, jump into the demo, kagent is, like I mentioned, an open source framework. It's actually in the process of getting accepted as a sandbox project in CNCF. And we've had a lot of like cool community growth around it. But basically, it enables you to build agents in a Kubernetes native way. So you can declaratively write your agents and run in the cluster, and that's really useful for originally the idea was like more like DevOps agents, so like debugging Kubernetes, debugging Istio, but really it's very flexible, so you can expand it beyond Kubernetes. So I'm kind of going to go through the docs examples. So first we'll play around with some of the pre-built agents that come with kagent, and then we'll look into how to integrate with MCP. So what I currently have in my environment is, let me pull up K9s because I think that's like a good way to visualize it. I have a very simple kind cluster with Argo rollouts installed because I'm going to show off my my agent that I built originally for converting a deployment into a rollout. And then I also have kagent already installed, so we can kind of skip the initial steps, but it's a very simple environment. It just, again, Argo rollouts, some simple like book info app for doing the demo, and then I've already installed kagent using the CLI, but you could also always do it with Helm. So so kagent is currently running in the cluster. And then if I open the dashboard, so there's a couple of ways of interacting with kagent. You can either do the CLI or the UI. So in the UI, there's a list of pre-built agents that kagent comes with. So all of these are actually represented with an agent CRD that we're going to take a look at in a bit. And the one that I'm going to demo first is the Argo rollouts agent. So you can click on it, and then it brings you to this like very simple chat interface. You can look around, and there's if you click on the action edit, you can actually see what the agent instructions are. So you can edit these and like make it custom, which we can play around with in a bit. And then we also have the list of predefined tools. So these are like, again, this is a prepackaged agent. So like it's a part of the repo, you can like disable or enable it via the Helm install, but it's like a sample agent to help you get started for a very specific task. So when I was actually building this, originally I thought like, oh, like Argo rollouts, how hard could it be? Like you can make it do everything. But it turns out like it's very hard to have a lot of tools and a very long system prompt to have like multiple tasks. So having a single agent responsible for like validating your installation, debugging like Prometheus metrics for Argo, and like converting a rollout, all of those are kind of like very large tasks that have a lot of edge cases. So I found it works much better if you have like a very small tool set and a very specific prompt of what you want to do. So yeah, so with that, let's get started. So I guess first of all, do I have Argo rollouts installed? So we actually know the answer to this because we saw the K9s earlier. But so I asked this question, and then it calls the verify Argo controller install. So it checks like the pod's running and that it's actually running there. So then I'm gonna ask, do I have any Argo rollout resources in my cluster? So the answer to this should be no, because I just applied the book info example from Istio, so it's only deployments. So the chat says like, no, there's no Argo rollout resources, but I can help you convert the deployment. So let's let's take a look back at our K9s. So we have like ratings v1 as a deployment. Right, let me like sanity check that's what it's actually called. So let's try to convert ratings v1 to an Argo rollout for me. I always feel bad not saying like please, but it's, you know, it's an agent and doesn't really care. So it's asking me what namespace is it in. So I didn't tell it in the default namespace. So sometimes it actually assumes the default namespace and gets it, but this time it's like asking me to confirm. So like I'll say yes in the default namespace. So now it calls the get resource YAML. So these are again the set of tools that we have, and then it gets the deployment that I care about, and it converts it to a rollout for me. But I'm looking at this rollout, and maybe I don't actually want to use this image version, or like I don't like the weights. So I can iterate using the chat or the CLI to get it to look like what I want and then apply it. So at this point, it hasn't actually applied the YAML. Like it's suggesting that it can apply it for me because it has the apply manifest tool, but it's not actually doing it yet. So I can say like, can you change the set weight to like 30? And then we'll do that. So then it updates the set weight to 30, supposedly. Yep. And then now I'm happy with this rollout. So I tell it to apply the rollout to my cluster. And it's thinking. Okay, so it calls the create resource tool, and it has created the rollout in the default namespace. So then it gives me some helpful things to actually view it. But I want to see it in the dashboard. So I can ask, can you give me the command to view the rollout in the Argo dashboard? Because this is the command I never remember. I don't really, use Argo day to day. So okay, so it tells me that I can use this command to actually view it in the dashboard. So let's try that out. So we'll open a new terminal. do that. And there we go. We got our ratings, Argo rollout converted from a deployment to an Argo rollout resource. So that was like a demo of the pre-built agent. Like I kind of mentioned, you can also edit the actions here. So if I like, this is great for iterating. So if there's something that you don't like about the agent's behavior, even with the pre-built agents, you can say like always start with hello, Nina. Before answering. So that's like a silly example, but like if we update it and we go back to our Argo rollout and we ask, you know, what rollouts are in my cluster in the default namespace, it should find our ratings example, hopefully. So it gets resource and then it answers with hello, Nina. So it's a good way of like, you know, the agent is just a system prompt and a set of tools. And it's a good way of like quickly getting started because you can, you know, change the system prompt to your liking and develop as you go. So you can test it out and see like what you have to add to it, what like instructions you have to change, and very quickly get started. But like I mentioned, this was like one of our pre-built ones, like how do you make your own? You can do this through the UI, but I kept talking about declarative setup, so I do want to show the YAML that you can use instead. Actually, let's run that command. Sorry, it's in the port forwarded example. So if I do like kget agents, you'll see that every agent that we saw on the dashboard actually also has a CRD definition, and all of them are kind of structured like this. So you have your agent, you know, description of the agent, and the two important things are the system message and the tools. So in this case, we're just going to use first like two inline tools. So very similar to the Argo agent, these are things that are predefined in kagent that you can use out of the box. And then I'll show you how to do the same thing with like an MCP example. So if I copy this and apply it to my cluster, this is the Nina replacement agent. It's going to replace my job one day, hopefully. And then if I go back to the dashboard and refresh, you can see that the Nina agent has reappeared. So this agent is like very simple. It's just interacting with the cluster to get information about the cluster. It can't actually apply any resources. So you can just do get API resources and get resources to see what's like actually in my cluster. So I can test it out quickly, like what odds are in the default namespace, my favorite namespace. So it calls get resources and then gives you like a list of the things, but you don't have to remember the kubectl command to actually do it. So that is the built-in example, but you can also do this with all the MCP servers that are out there. So in this example, I'm going to create like a very simple MCP server that just fetches websites. So I have it here as a Python app. And like literally all we're doing is getting the URL and you know, letting the agent summarize it for us. So there's only one tool, like the fetch tool, and where I packaged it up in a Docker file, and then have a very simple deployment called MCP website fetcher to actually run that. So let's try that now. So if I go back, so I've already built the image, so I'm just going to load it actually, just to save time. That should be pretty quick. And then I'm going to apply the deployment I just showed. Oh, sorry, it's in the MCP. So I applied the deployment, and then if we look at our kagent namespace, we see that the MCP website fetcher is now running, so we can actually use it. So now I'm going to create a second agent with the agent resource called website fetcher agent. It's also, again, very simple. It's just going to fetch the contents of the website, and it's going to use this tool server that's declaratively written here. So it's just going to reference the URL of my locally running MCP website fetcher. So if I take this and apply it, now I should have my new agent appear in the dashboard. So let's go back to the dashboard, to my agents. refresh. Yeah, and we see this website fetcher agent appear. Let's see. So I think I have an example hard coded. Yeah. So because I don't want to like test like a website that might break. The service mesh one has been working. So if I say like show me the contents of a service mesh like Wikipedia page, and send it, it fetches the website and then works. I have tested it on like websites that don't work because like the content's too big and then it like overwhelms it. But this again, like it's like a very simple MCB server. So ideally, like the MCB server that you're using like accounts for those kind of edge cases. But for demo, like it's a very simple one. So the Wikipedia page works, but it won't work for all websites. And you can see that it did, use the tool to fetch it, and then now has a summary of the page there. So that's all I actually wanted to show. Are there, I guess, any questions? And like, we can talk about where, the development is, like what people are working on in the community. I think like there's been a lot of like all the examples I showed were using OpenAI. But there have been some PRs that merged to support other providers. So yeah, does anyone have any questions about like where the project's going, like how to use specific features?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So if you use the hand to also like ask or express questions, I do have a couple of my own, but I'll wait for a couple of minutes if folks have questions.
Nina, sorry, go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, my question is, you're showing this with OpenAI, ChatGPT, and do you have any integrations with other
Yeah, so
models? Yeah.
this is a good question for Aton, but I do think we had a couple other providers merge in recently. So I guess Azure, OpenAI, and Anthropic are supported. I think there's issues that the community members have raised about supporting like local models, but I don't think those are currently implemented.
Got it.
No. So
Or
they
they
are
okay,
actually.
never mind.
They are, and I think actually one of our biggest struggles right now is actually just keeping the keeping the docs up to date with everything that we're adding. So we support Olama and basically anything that adheres to OpenAI. So we can do Gemini, we can do VLM, right? So it's actually much larger than it. We can support most things. Basically, the only one that we don't right now is Bedrock.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so a good first issue is updating the docs then, if anyone's interested in that.
I have a question on what's the advantage or benefit of using MCP? Is this the MCP server from MIT Nanda project?
So the example I showed was just my custom MCP server, but there's a lot of MCP servers that other projects have written. So like you can imagine like the Argo rollouts example, like Argo as a project might write an MCP server. So then like, we're not Argo experts, so we might like not want to write like a lot of tools custom made for Argo and maintain them. So you can imagine like different, groups creating like their own servers for different tool calls.
Got it. Thank you.
Nina, I've got a question. On the back end, you're using LangChain as a core framework, right?
No, AutoGen actually.
Origin. Okay. Good to know. Thanks.
I can also go into why if you're curious, but I know it.
I was curious about that. So again, was part of the questions I wanted to ask. So who's your main persona here? Is your main persona a cloud native AI developer who understands Kubernetes, or are you also targeting AI engineers who might not have background? I saw the UI, which is a good abstraction, right?
So I think it's a good question. So I think it's sort of, to answer that, you sort of need to go up a level. It's like, what is Kubernetes really for, right? Kubernetes is for running applications, right? There's not that many people who actually right? Like the community is very large, but the number of people who actually interact with Kubernetes, Kubernetes on a daily basis is like relatively small, but the number of people who use apps that are deployed on Kubernetes, is basically most of the population of the world, right? And so with that in mind, we kind of envision the same here. What we're building here is a platform to build agents. So the way that it gets done under the hood is declarative so that you can have version control and all these other things. But in terms of how that's exposed to your end users, it's totally up to you. We're building a platform here to build agents. That's the idea. And it just so happens that we're shipping with agents that target Kubernetes because that's what we do, right? That's our sauce. But we have much broader vision for it.
Yeah, if I can weigh in here, I always joke to Chris and Isaac when we started the K-Agent project. Look, the CNCF landscape is so complex. We're looking at 200 projects out in the landscape, right? How cool would it be, right, if you could potentially have an agent sit next to you as you explore and learning any of these projects without looking and remember all the commands that Lena was highlighting, right? That's part of the reason we created K-Agent in the first place, because we find out even inside our own company that not everybody have all the expertise, even just for Istio, for Argo, for some of the initial agents we created. So we created these agents for other people to easily consume and learn and troubleshooting these projects, as the first goal is to consume, but we want the rest of the ecosystem be excited and also building agents so we can have a rich ecosystem to build more agents. This is also why I think someone early on was asking MCP tools and servers. We believe in the ecosystem. We believe to be able to easily plug in the tools from the MCP server, which can play a critical role as project maintainers come in to develop new agents for the K-Agent framework.
I get that value. So I get you want to make it easy to build agents. My question, and I think we can take that off later. You build already an abstraction was AutoGen, and then this is another abstraction. So the first impression I got was this is targeted for cloud native engineers who are crafting CRDs. But then to Ethan's point, you're building yet another abstraction in the UI and trying to make it easier. So what gets me to use K-Agent to build my agent versus directly, for example, AutoGen, right? I guess being an cloud native engineer who gets into AI, this is the question, but we can take that.
No, it's a great point. I think I'll say one more thing about this. I think when we were developing agents, what we realized is that actually the inner loop for an agent just does not require any codes. And so what we've tried to do here is essentially take any startup cost involved with writing agents completely out. And so all you're doing is all you're focusing on is the core competencies of each agent and bringing your own tools. So I think that's also where we're trying to separate ourselves at a core level. It's just that realization I think is unique to this, and so yeah, so we believe in that. But also, I agree with what you're saying. It's definitely nuanced.
Cool. Any other questions?
I've got one more. Sorry,
go ahead. I'll go after you. I have a small ask for the team, so I'll go after you.
So just wondering about observability. Is there any link in from K-Agent to OTel in terms of exports or anything like this so you can properly monitor the executions?
Yes, there is, but there is much more that we want to do. You can trace the runtime of an agent today, but we have there are ways that we want to simplify it, and so I think that's we've open sourced. We absolutely want community contributions. That's one of the things that we're planning to focus on in the next couple of releases, but also recognizing that we're relatively small team. But yes, you can do it today, but there's like our vision for what we want to be able to do is much larger.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot.
So I saw you have a great question. Do you want us to take it offline, Adele?
I feel like I've used my quota of questions, so I didn't want to.
No, it's a great question. Honestly, if other people are interested, we're happy to answer it offline, but I think other people might be interested. So yesterday we did announce this Asian Gateway. By the way, we're happy to come back to the team if there's enough interest to do a demo or presentation like what Lena has just done. So the Asian Gateway is a new purposefully built Rust-based proxy. In fact, Aton is the development lead on that. That we purposely built for agent to agent, from agent to MCP server, and also agent to large language model. So you can run the agent gateway in Kubernetes, or you can run it outside of Kubernetes. And if we run it in Kubernetes, we do provide a control plane for the agent gateway, which is the K-Gateway project, recently accepted as a CNCF sandbox project. So if that makes sense, and if it's interested in learning a little bit more, we're happy to come back for a demo and talks on that.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome. So a small ask for the team here, particularly for the leads here, Ricardo, Adele, Nina talked about we apply for a sandbox, and I believe in the next few weeks, our sandbox project is going to be reviewed by the TOC. So if you guys can share some thoughts of what you have on our project, whether it makes sense to be accepted as a sandbox, I think that means a lot to us. Thank you.
Yeah, so that will be commenting on the issue.
Yeah, by
okay.
making comment, I think it would be really helpful. Like, hey, the team actually presented on this work group, and here's our thoughts as part of the review of the project.
Perfect.
Thank you.
good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Any other questions, or you can switch back to?
Can you share the? Oh, I was just gonna ask to share the sandbox. I should just.
Oh yeah, both of
Oh
us.
yeah, don't send it.
I just
Oh
did that.
shit.
Nina was fast. All right. Cool. Any other questions before we then move to the next demo? Going once, going twice. All right. I don't know who's presenting G2AI, but if you're here, this is the time for you to show up. Because I didn't see a name, so I was not sure if someone else added a demo video here.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can like move them to the next meeting then.
Looks like, yeah, they wanted to share the demo. And yeah, so there's a link for the demo. There's a link to documentation. So if you're interested to know what G2AI is, here's your information. And then the next one, I don't know if Andrew is here, or if he left. I guess he also wanted to share this document. There has been some discussions on the Slack channel about MCP servers. I've also had created this issue. This was very related also to your discussion with kagent, Nina and all. So basically, let me try to link to the Slack discussion as well. So there's an issue for unifying fronts on MCP servers, and Andrew created this document to also kind of like highlight this need. I've also seen folks on the Kubernetes 6 are also discussing this. It seems like a very lively topic. So have a look at the document, have a look at the issue, which I will link to the notes very soon, right now, as well. If you have something you want to contribute or want to link to, that would be great. But I feel like I mean, one of the goals is not just for like building or unifying on how we build Kubernetes MCP servers, but also anything in the cloud native landscape. So covering observability, covering networking, covering any of the project on the cloud native ecosystem. So if you have something that you feel like can contribute to that or can become a sandbox for that, then feel free to put the link there and we should follow up. Any comments on that?
I've got a question on this, Adele. I know that in one of the earlier calls, maybe two or 3 months back, we were discussing sort of the best practice around Kubernetes in the context of the generation of agent architectures and essentially the endpoint communications. And this sort of falls a little bit into that space. I think observability, security, all these topics, tie in very closely. And if we consider, building out a viable end-to-end architecture across all the different cloud native projects, then maintaining common coding standards in terms of observability, security, endpoint exposure are really, really important components in achieving a viable communication path between different systems and allowing for better explainability and traceability. I know that the Open Telemetry Working Group has a whole thing going with semantic convention at the moment, particularly around AI. I know that the folks from Microsoft and OpenAI are deeply involved in that. What I'm interested in here is in the context of the MCP server assessment, would it not make sense to also look into maybe building out the standards that these deployments should try to steer towards and follow within Kubernetes and cloud native deployments, so that we do have the ability down the track to link in common trace IDs and semantics to bring everything together to allow us to have common explainability.
Yeah, makes sense. I think this is I would say we're living in the age of protocols and now meshes, and I think this space is ripe for a lot of contribution. And the problem is that you're going to see is that lots of things are going to come to trying to become a standard. I think we already have for agent to agent, we have MCP, but then these things are lacking platforms, things like observability, security. How do you fill those gaps in a way that makes sense? And I think many people, including the solo.io folks, are part of the agent gateway, are looking into this. But yeah, I absolutely agree. This is something that if you have ideas or want to contribute or raise a new issue about this, that is relevant. I would say this issue though is focused on unifying fronts on people building MCP servers for cloud native. The other problems that you just highlighted is an existing problem that many people are solving for, which I think we should unify as well how we solve for. So that makes sense, absolutely. And I encourage you to raise an issue and let me know if you need any help doing that. So this is
So Adele, I guess the question is, I guess what I described is much bigger than just MCP. Should it ride within this? Should I raise an issue within what you've raised here already, or should we maybe start a second document? I don't want to make things overly common.
Yeah, you can link to it because it's related, but I think it's a separate problem to solve. So it was worth its own issue, but you can link to it because it's definitely relevant, right? To the topic in general, whether it's MCP or A2A or ACP or whatever. These things have these existing problems. Yeah, and I know Ricardo, is this? I know that there has been some migration stuff going on. Is this still the right place to raise the issue, or should we move our stuff?
Yeah, I think we can put a placeholder in the tag runtime until the new repos are created in the new tag restructure. So there might be, I'm not sure if there's going to be a repo for this working group, but
okay.
But no, then we can just put in a tag runtime right now. So maybe I don't know if Lynn has any insights on this because she's on the TOC.
Sorry, I know I know the tag reboot and everything. It's a little bit confusing. So, but if you do have specific question, I'd be happy, or Ricardo would be happy to, find the answers for you.
Yeah, I think for now we could John, for this issue or for other people who want to express interest in working on something or raise concern, you can create the issues, and then whenever the move happens, I guess we will just take them there to the destination. I would say was my recommendation. Would you
Yeah.
agree, Lynn and Ricardo?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One comment I have about this is that I think where we want to get to is a more common implementation, because you have like, I don't know, like 10 different MCP servers.
More.
Yeah, so hopefully like
Maybe. Oh,
folks in
sorry.
the community can come together and actually create like a common one, or one that is more prevalent.
Yes. I think the most important part of that is going to be agreeing on almost how it should be designed, because I think like in our testing, we found that people make these things in very different ways. Like sometimes they make them with like single tools or like 2 or 3 that can do a lot of things, which has its pros, but also massive cons in terms of permissioning. So I wonder, yeah, it would be interesting. I think that's another thing that's important to recognize here, like trying to balance not just how, not just trying to, but like agreeing on how, like the structure in terms, and so that they're like for security purposes too. There's still not an agreement in the community of what the best way is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen good implementations. Just good is subjective. So unless if we want to make them objective, we need something like a proposal, right? That people would collaborate on. I don't know is there anyone in this group who would like to start a proposal and have concrete ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
So I can start a proposal for sort of coding standards around hooks and integration for telemetry and security in this space. So it's more neutral. It's not specific to MCP or ACP or AK, all the different versions of protocols out there. I think that's something that will hit on any potential framework that's being used or any potential integration which is being used, which is more best practices around agentic deployment, not looking at the endpoint protocols per se. And then I guess endpoint protocols, they're obviously related in terms of how you would instrument your hooks for telemetry and for security, if that makes sense. I can kick off a document for that, and then we can maybe zoom in on the other components or the subcomponents from there, if that makes
I
sense.
say we need this, but we also need a document that suggests what a Kubernetes So first of all, like there's a lot of MCP servers in the cloud native ecosystem. I think we can start with Kubernetes in general. Like Nina showed a demo of like how did it know what spots this is in the backend. I think you had a Kubernetes MCP server somehow.
Yeah, our own MCP server, like as everyone else.
Yeah, for example, so many people have this kind of like interface, but if we would standardize like what should the Kubernetes MCP server do? Like, is it like the whole set of what Kubernetes should? What are the functions that we need to expose for that server? What are the tools that we need to expose in that server? I guess we need that separate document as well to zoom in on the like the basic things that needs to be there and then an implementation, a recommended implementation, and actually it fits this bill, and that will become maybe the default implementation or the cloud native, or one of the cloud native implementations. A reference implementation is a better word for Kubernetes MCP server that folks can fork from if need be, but hopefully not contribute to directly. So we will need the two things, Josh, like the thing that discusses the problem space at a high level, and then but because we know MCP has been scattering implementations, we need the document that unifies that and describes what unifications looks like in one. So I think we need both. So I think you can create your documents and share it. I think that relates to the other issues you want to create, but then we still need the MCP. Like what's the vision for an MCP server, a cloud native MCP server for Kubernetes?
Josh, yeah, so I think you can start your doc, and I think that would be super useful.
Who's talking? Yeah, so the Johnny, for your doc thing, but is there a volunteer for the Kubernetes one, like the MCP server. If not, I guess we can think.
I
Yeah.
think I'm finishing security white paper. I think I can start working. But I would prefer someone else to also to be there, to the one who has better practical experience, because I'm just starting on some of these things.
My ask is like, I think we need to tie in also to, I know that other people in the Kubernetes 6 are working on that. So if anyone who wants to reach out to this, this is another, like maybe this is already done work. Just connecting the dots and surfacing that. So this is part of like the, like writing this proposal. Maybe there's an existing proposal out there in the Kubernetes 6. So this is also like bringing that to that person who will lead this effort. I think I'm happy to help, by the way, in that effort. But I don't think I have the capacity to lead it at this point.
Yeah, so
I can
sorry.
volunteer as well. Sorry.
Yeah, so we need somebody to kind of lead the initiative. So you need to come to a consensus, right? So with all the different members, right? And that could be a doc, or that could be also, setting up meetings and gathering the folks that are interested in the space.
So Ricardo, I'm happy in supporting the high level portion, but the way I see it is we're going to split into three different components, which is MCP, ACP, and agent registration. They're the three main problem spaces at the moment that we're going to have a more granular micro view. So I'm happy to get the high level standards and problem statement and details in there. But those different protocols, each one of them is essentially a piece of work in its own domain, right?
The
Gotcha.
difference is an implement. So we're discussing MCP servers implementation, right? ACP is another protocol, but is there like, would you think of something like a Kubernetes ACP server, for example? Would that make sense? Or a Kubernetes A2A server? Or I think this is like about the implementation of like the server itself and how many implementations are there. I see like 20 servers maybe of the same goal. But I agreeing with you on the high level problem statement where, okay, how does ACP, how does A2A, how does MCP interoperate, and how do we solve for observability security of all these protocols on top of the cloud native platform? That's a solid problem statement. It's just different from the problem statement of we have 20 Kubernetes MCP servers. How do we unify and standardize? How do we want to have one that actually is certified to run? What? Because every company now comes up with an MCP server for their stuff. Do we want to have a Kubernetes MCP server if you think of Kubernetes as a company? That's it.
So I think the sprawl of MCP, ACP, A2A registration protocols out there, it's growing, but I think us setting what we would consider from a security perspective, a networking perspective, and a containerization perspective, what the best practices are within the cloud native space for this that we believe should be applied to the respective protocols, regardless of how many servers are out there. I think that's certainly something that would benefit the community. You know, we're not
100%.
going to fix 50 servers or 100 next month, right? I think setting the standards and, looking at the best practices of information hiding when it comes to deploying containers and everything else around this, or event driven, detailing that will at least set the stage for the right direction or orientation to be taken around how these agents get spun up or how the communications within the containers look.
100%.
Yeah.
We need both. Cool.
Adil, a favor to from your side, if you can document the big ask around it on this document, that would be a great help. I would imagine.
If I look, what do you want
If you
to
can
talk?
document the ask around the Kubernetes MCP server to, the initiative that you said you need someone to lead, then I think that would be nicer, because I think that would help folks who would read the document in future. I'm happy to volunteer as well. Help you with it, Josh and Deep. I'm also starting out with a lot of these things, so would need some reading up on. I mean, MCP is a growing field, as you said right now.
Just writing, yeah. Okay. I'm also writing Josh's proposal.
That was great. Yeah.
A to A registration.
Oh, Victor is here, so Victor.
And I can cover that one. I can raise a document there, Adele, and lead that.
Yeah, that would be great. Awesome. Oh, I just realized that Nina is sharing the screen, and I'm very sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Nina, if you feel like you want to drop it at any point, let me know.
No. I'm happy
Okay.
to stay on. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for being our eyes today. Cool. I guess we have some minutes left, so maybe we can go back to the logistics. Deep, you want to talk about like the security paper, where it is, and
Yeah. So I think about just one day worth of my time is needed just to give the finishing touches of all the reviews. So 80% reviews are incorporated, maybe 20% left. So I'm working tonight or tomorrow. I'll release that updated version. So the only thing remaining is that TOC folks how to move forward now to get it, take it to the home run.
awesome. So anything you want anyone to kind of like, or any action items for anyone to help?
Yeah, I think I saw one document that it needs a new initiative, and I just wanted to know what exactly I'm supposed to do, we are supposed to do, and what exactly TOC folks need. So Lynn or Ricardo can let me and us know what to do. In terms of new initiative, basically. If it needs a new initiative, what is to be done?
Ricardo, or Lynn, since you're here,
Yeah,
can you help?
we're there are some formats to start a new initiative. So I'll get back to you on those. So like I think we have some project, but just stay tuned because I mean that it will have more in the next few days. So essentially, you want to start a new initiative, right? So that
No, Ricardo, sorry. I saw a document in the last meeting, it was shared. I did not believe it needs a new initiative. The document said so. So I'm just wondering. It is specifically mentioned scheduling and security white paper needs new initiatives. So I'm coming from there.
Can you link
Ah,
to
gotcha. No, I mean, like whatever we are working on now, I think can keep going the way it is. But so the new process will, I mean, the Lego blocks will fall into place gradually. So they're not so whatever you're working on now, then we can just follow what we were doing before, right? So for example, like if you're finishing up this security white paper, uh, once it's ready, I can help with the CNCF and get it published basically, or start the process of getting it published.
I
Yeah,
see. So
I agree with that. Continue doing what you are doing before the new rules are formalized and published to you.
so there is a significant chance I'm hearing that if, let's say, because we are about to be done, it can go through publishing
I think
without.
it needs the TOC review if it's a white paper.
Mhm.
Because in the past, we have been review white paper from different working groups. So I know that needs to be signed off. Probably I would recommend the tag chairs also sign off on the white paper as well before you ask the TOC to sign off.
Yeah.
So if you get, I guess my read is like, if you get the final reviews from the internal folks in this group, it should now evolve to other reviews and then
Yeah.
finally to publishing reviews and then publishing, right? So
Yep.
Cool.
One last question. So the reduced document is still about 47 pages. So I have received one comment is that we should be writing 2 to 3 page summary document and which can refer to the big one. Do you guys think is that necessary? Required? Huh?
A blog post, maybe.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
So Deep, I don't think the is required for the Cloud Native AI white paper that we published last year. The publishing staff wrote like a little summary or something on the page, right? So but if you want to, then if you want to help out, then it's up to you.
Okay. Okay. I mean, because it is from our perspective about to be done. I mean, I just wanted to take it to the logical conclusion ASAP.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. Anything you want to bring up on your topic, Deep, or are you
No.
answers? Cool. All right. And for the scheduling paper, I think we still don't have Cameron, or do we? I don't think we have him. So
We don't, but I think he fell off the radar. So
okay.
more likely in the future, what you and I and Ron will get together and try to see how we can publish whatever, because there's a lot of work there, so we wanna be able to publish it.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of those. There's also the sustainability white paper that needs like this formulation. I will add the link. So we're looking.
Yeah, so I met with Vincent yesterday. You work at Red Hat, so Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent. Yeah, he
And he's
collaborated
been working on that, and we're gonna come up with something too for that one. So stay tuned.
On the scheduling white paper, what's the when are there actually meetings taking place? There was a while where Cameron was running them, and then they weren't running regularly anymore. Is there a time and place that the meetings for scheduling are happening, or
No. Yeah, what happened is we actually were very active on this paper. It started with, I think, right after the AI white paper that published last year in April, and then it just stopped. And then we wanted someone to continue, so Cameron volunteered, and then Cameron is not here anymore, and so now we need like to continue the work. So I guess nothing happened much after we all kind of like stopped. So somehow we all dropped the ball at the same time, and no one picked it up.
yeah, so does it make sense to set up a meeting? And I know we're right at time, team, so apologies for going over, but does it make sense that there's another meeting to try and push forward on what's there in scheduling? Because there's a bit of content and it'd be good to close it out.
Well, if you want to lead that.
Victor was the contributor here. He's on the line. I mean, Victor, do you know anything? Because you were contributing and active last time, just few weeks ago.
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't. What is that?
Victor Lu, yeah. Victor Lu, do you know, because you were active for the student white paper a few weeks ago?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Which Victor? I guess that's the question.
No, Victor Lu, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's you.
that's you. Do we know where we are scheduling white paper?
Scheduling white paper. Oh, that one. There has not been much activity going on right now. I believe it's at this point dormant right now.
Okay, folks.
Yeah.
I have to drop. If you want to continue, please continue. But thank you all. Thank you all for the presenter, Nina, Lynn, and all. Yeah. See you.
Yeah, Adele, before you drop, so let's get together, you and Ron, and we can figure it out, like the next steps for the scheduling white paper. So that would be, or let's chat on Slack. Okay, thanks. Thank you all. Thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
day. Thank you for
Thanks,
joining.
everyone.
Thanks for.
Take care. Bye.